Hello, everybody. I'm Ethan Feller from Zacks Investment Research, and this is Momentum Mondays. Hope you all had a good holiday season. I'm happy to be back and sharing market happenings with you. As always, we're going to take a look at the economic calendar to see what's going on in the week ahead. Then we're going to look at some earnings calls, which are coming up this week. Then we're going to look at the markets. I'm going to share with you a few technical trading setups in stocks with top Zacks ranks. Let's get started. In the week ahead, it's not too active of a week, even though earnings are going to be starting. As far as economic data, Monday, obviously today the market is closed, so you're getting this on an off day, and you can prepare for Tuesday. Some data on Tuesday, manufacturing survey, a little bit of Fed speak. Wednesday, a good amount of data, but nothing critical. Retail sales, more Fed speakers, Fed beige book. All of this is worth considering, but nothing crazy market moving. Thursday, as always, we're going to have initial jobless claims, which is always an important number. It still hovers around this 200,000 number, which is what we got last week. Housing starts and building permits. And then Friday, consumer sentiment is probably the most important. But we're going to be getting Fed speakers all week, so they can always say something that moves the markets. But really nothing too major to look forward to in economic data. Also, we're going to get earnings happening this week. A few earnings. Monday is pretty light, obviously. Market's closed. Tuesday, get some investment banks getting started. Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs. PNC, Interactive Brokers. Then on Wednesday, we've got Prologis, REIT, Charles Schwab, U.S. Bancorp, Kinder Morgan. Things are starting to get started in earnings. Thursday, a few more companies. Truist, Fastenal, Birkenstock is an interesting growth stock to keep an eye on. And Friday, Schlumberger. It's relatively light. We're getting started. Some more financial companies. Last week on Friday, we had the big banks, 4 big banks. But you can see next week is when the earnings really get serious. Tuesday, we're going to get Microsoft and J&J, Procter & Gamble, Netflix, and Tesla, Visa, Louis Vuitton, Intel. So I generally think, we're going to take a look at the chart in a second, but I generally think it should be a quieter week. So looking at the S&P, let's take a quick, broader look at the market. We can see that the market is still in a range. This is the S&P 500. This is, 2022, we had this big sell-off, put in a low. 2023, strong year. Okay, but the S&P is still within this broader range. Okay, we're coming up on all-time highs, around 4,815. So it's important to watch this range. These all-time high is important. We push through there, we hold above there. It's very bullish. But I want to take a look at a few things to say I'm a little bit cautious going into the market this year. But first things first, we see the S&P. We broke out from this at the end of last year, and now we're building out this range. The first week in the market was really, really tough. Immediately the market was selling hard. I'm going to show you an interesting chart in a second. But I'm not going to ignore that this is a quiet week, and this is a decent-looking consolidation for the market to break out from. If tomorrow the market, moves higher, it moves higher. It's going to break out. And I generally think we're going to kind of drift. It's possible we sell off, trade within this range, but I generally think we're going to drift higher. It's going to be a fairly bullish week. There's going to be some trading opportunities on the long side. But I'm a little bit cautious going into the beginning of this year. You see, on the first week, the NASDAQ and there's the same setup in the S&P, right? We broke down from this channel, okay? I think it's kind of an omen. And on the first day, we broke out from this channel. This last quarter of the year of last year was so strong. I mean, the market barely budged lower. It only went higher. And we traded in this really tight range, this tight channel. And we slammed lower on the first day. So, maybe we get stronger, if we get back in this channel. But again, the longer the market goes, the more the channel gets upward sloping. The market's really got to get back in there ASAP for me to sort of pull back on my bearish kind of thesis. Now, I'm going to share some more defensive stocks that I think are going to do well. But we saw this technology sector just absolutely ripped in the fourth quarter. So I'm a little bit hesitant. So the first reason I'm hesitant is that it's an election year. We're going to have the U.S. presidential election in November. And in addition to regular seasonality during presidential years, the first quarter is usually challenging. So in the seasonality chart, we can see even normally, this first 3 months can be challenging. Usually we end March nearly flat. So again, I think we got some, not like it's going to be something horrible happening, but there's going to be some uncertainty, some increased volatility. And I think I'm going to share some interesting stocks that I think that'll do well going into this. Also, big news over the last few weeks is these are Fed rate hike expectations. Of course, these are super important. What happens with interest rates affects the whole economy, affects what investors decide to do. So we can see in this chart here, this is a Fed Watch tool, which uses the futures market in the Fed funds futures to price expectations. So the Fed explicitly said, we think we're going to have 3 rate hikes in 2024. The market is pretty much ignoring that. It's now, you can see pricing in 7 rate hikes in 2024, which is, if everyone thinks that the market is going to hike rates like this, cut rates 7 times this year, it's going to be very bullish for stocks. Okay, but these are really dovish expectations from the market, whereas the Fed said, we're going to do 3 times. Now everyone's expecting 7. So, maybe, but the thing is, the economy looks really strong. The labor market maintains really strong numbers. Labor market's tight. Inflation, we saw a little bit hot last week. So there's no reason for the Fed to rush into these rate cuts yet. Okay, so they, if the Fed, acts a little bit more hawkish, says, relax with these dovish expectations, that could be a little bit more challenging for the market. It's just a bearish catalyst, I think, is possible. And I also want to show you Microsoft. They're reporting next week. And, it's been going back and forth with Apple. I don't know if you've seen the news that for the biggest company, they're near $3 trillion total market capitalization. It's really strong. I think it could, earnings could be a sell the news event, maybe across a few technology stocks, which have been doing so well since the end since the fourth quarter last year. So again, I think earnings, you got a few things. If you look at the earnings trend, they started trending lower late last year. They've sort of bottomed out. They're trading sideways now, but maybe, I think there's some catalysts that could shake up the market a little bit. So other news worth noting is Bitcoin. Last week, it had its the market started trading ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs. Investors can now invest in Bitcoin through managed ETFs, which is, I think, a good thing. If you want exposure to Bitcoin, you no longer have to deal with the headache of the security of managing, and it can be kind of a pain in the butt to own Bitcoin. You're kind of at risk. So I think it's cool. However, it turned into a pretty big sell the news event. We can see that there was this big reversal on the day that it was released, and it neared 50,000, and now Bitcoin is down to 42,000. So pretty hard sell off. And I want to also show you something. If we zoom out a little bit, these events, you can see even this weekly is a huge reversal candle. And these events can often mark highs. Okay, so in 2018, CME started trading Bitcoin futures, and it was right at the market top. Okay, it was just a week before the market topped. Then again, we got Bitcoin futures ETFs in late 2021. And again, it marked a near top in the market, in the Bitcoin market. And again, we have this Bitcoin ETF, we have this big reversal candle. I have this kind of bearish thesis going forward. Not bearish, but, challenging period going forward. I think the first quarter might be challenging. So I think you can see that with Bitcoin. I think all risk assets sort of see They trade sideways, they go lower, they go higher, but they don't just start trending higher, right? Bitcoin moved over 100% higher last year. And I think this isn't a reasonable period to say, okay, maybe we take a little rest. Maybe the first quarter or the first half this year is a little challenging before we begin that trend higher, which I do think. I think Bitcoin follows the broader markets, sideways, challenging action, a little more volatility for next couple of months, and then big moves higher. So what do we want to do during periods of increased discomfort, increased volatility? So I'm going to show you some of the top ranked stocks that we're looking at. Okay, the first one that I want to show you is an ETF. This is the Vanguard Value ETF. Right here. Okay. Yep, Vanguard Value ETF. It's Zacks Rank 1 ETF. So it's a value oriented ETF. So it holds, kind of more traditional dividend yielding stocks. It's got lower price to earnings ratio, and it generally does well during more challenging periods. So especially during 2022, this ETF went down much less than the broader market. So it was a good place to be. Well, also you got to collect some dividends. Show you. We can compare S&P 500 to the value ETF. And this was, so starting in 2022, you can see S&P was down a little bit more. And by the end of the year, the value ETF was almost unchanged. It held up, while the S&P 500 was down almost 20% during that period. So yeah, this is just something I like to see. I think it was showing some relative strength at the beginning of the year. We saw, as I showed you, the NASDAQ broke down pretty hardcore from that bearish channel, or from that upward trending channel. And here in value ETF, it's building this bull flag, which is exactly what we like to look at in these Momentum Mondays videos. So, okay, we got this nice consolidation here. It's top Zacks rank. And I think something like this is worth holding if you think maybe we see some more challenging period ahead. So if the value ETF can trade above $150.60, I think that would signal a pretty significant breakout. And so yeah, keep an eye on the value ETF. Next one I want to look at is, this is not really a value-oriented stock. This is just a good stock. CBOE, Global Markets. It's a financial exchange. Zacks Rank 1. It's got a forward earnings multiple of 22 times. It's got a decent little dividend, 1.2%. And yeah, this is a great company. It's not going anywhere. And most importantly, it's got a good momentum breakout setup. So CBOE has been trading sideways and building out this really nice bull flag. It broke out on Friday. And I think this is definitely one to keep an eye on. All of these stocks have shown kind of relative strength against the broader market, which is something I want to keep an eye on. Something worth considering when you're looking for these momentum stocks. The next one I'll look at is Booz Allen Hamilton. It's a government contractor and defensive company. Obviously, with rising geopolitical tensions we have in Israel and in the Middle East with this going on in the Red Sea, investors are seeking, it's defensive in that it may do better than the market, and it's also a defense company. So it's got a top Zacks rank. You can see government services are in the top 15% of the Zacks industry rank. And it's got a dividend yield of almost 1.5%. And got the chart setups we like to see. So just like we like to see, it's got this bull flag. It's been tightening, and it's showing some relative strength to the market. It wasn't quite as weak as the rest of the market, and it's holding up nicely, building out this nice consolidation that we like to see. So if we can see Booz Allen Hamilton break out above, $129.50 or $130, that would signal a buy signal. And I think you could see this one make new highs pretty quickly. especially with the turmoil in the Middle East and in Ukraine and Russia. It's got a number of catalysts going for it. And so because it's very possible that this defensive thesis I have could be wrong, you always want to keep in the back of the head, and you got to have a trading plan for when you're not right. I also picked out a technology stock that has been doing really well. This is Spotify technology, right? If the broader tech industry does well and, there's no volatility like I'm expecting, say, these value stocks, they should go up too, but the broader market will probably go up more. So if it does, Spotify is the stock I've been keeping my eye on for a long time. The last few months, it's been showing really good relative strength, which I'll show you in a second. It's got a top Zacks rank. Obviously, as a growth stock, it's got a premium valuation, 83 times forward earnings, no dividend. But as traders, we're looking for momentum, we're looking for setups, and Spotify's got it. So let's take a look. So Spotify, it's been doing really well. Had a really good fourth quarter, had a really good 2023, and if this sort of love that technology's been getting continues, right? So we see it broke out from this descending bull pennant, right? And then it's about to just made new, I think it's like 18-month highs. It's well off its 2020 to 2021 highs, but it's getting a lot of love. Spotify, if you're listening to music and you're not using Apple Music or YouTube, you're probably going on Spotify. So this is another one worth watching. This one's already broken out, so it might get moving. So you might have to position a little bit smaller because it's already moving. But this is a good stock if the broader market stays strong. And that's it for the setups. That's it for today, folks. Hope you found the video useful and entertaining. If you like this content, definitely subscribe to the Zacks YouTube channel. And if you want even more from Zacks, you can go to zacks.com/promo and sign up for our most recent promotional offer. Thanks.